Well, action is a great word. It describes the way we refer to, like, the way the keys move on a saxophone. That's when my repairman says, how do you like your action? Is the action working for you? That's the way these keys feel. In that moment, when you're on stage, you're in active mode. The thing that's interesting, specifically with the saxophone, and it does manifest with other instruments as well, but it's a little harder to tell. But say you take this saxophone, which is my setup, you line up 10 people, and you give this saxophone to those 10 people that are all good players, and every one of them will sound different, and every one of them will sound like them. The action of it is not knowing what's going to happen next. Specifically, the correlations of jazz music and improvisation. Everything is alchemy, is the word that I like to use, because it's this combined with everything else. It's my lungs, it's my lips, it's my teeth, my cheeks, you know, it's all part of the sound. In full active mode, like you're on a freeway, you're going, you know, 150 miles an hour, and you have no idea what the road is, and you're discovering the road as you move. People can play the same exact melody, but imbue it with their own inflection and their own past, you know, everything that's going on in their lives currently, everything that's happened in their lives, maybe even some would argue everything that's going to happen in their future is all a part of the way they approach that melody and they play it. Makes it all the more thrilling. Makes it very exciting and also terrifying. But therein, in that mix of those two things, is where I think some of the most exciting and provocative music is being made. I think I mean, there's a lot of passions in my life, obviously, and, but if I had to break it down to one thing, I would say the pursuit of greatness. You know, I love seeing that in other people. I love seeing it in the world. I love seeing it in the universe around us. That's what I think people who are here and realize that we're here for a short period of time and you want to do the best you can. A former road manager of mine who passed away, he was a former house painter, and he always said to me, it's a great story, he said, look, you know, I'm just a house painter. My goal here in this lifetime is to paint my coat. And I know fully well that my coat is going over somebody else's coat. There's going to be one coat after me and probably another one, ad infinitum, right? So while I'm here, my job is just to make sure that my coat keep my house looking as pretty as possible, make sure the paint looks great, and that's my responsibility. Just make sure that the paint job is great, and that's sort of the epitome of what it's all about. While you're here, at least strive. I know we're all human beings, we can't do it every day of our lives, but at least the pursuit of greatness is something to shoot for.
There was the birth of my children, there was winning the Tony Award, and there's the Dave Koz star.
Is it that order?
And I was going to say, I'm not sure if that's even the order.
Well, you know, I think Dave has definitely carved out for himself a sound and a style that is uniquely his own, and definitely in the contemporary world, he's the creme de la creme. He's one of the main guys.
The attitude that I'm talking about in the music is, when you listen to Dave's music, it's real. You can feel it. You can feel his love for life. I dig him.
I think that's the difference between a good musician and a great musician. You get to know who they are when they're playing their instrument. So I couldn't be prouder to be up here than if I were your own brother, Dave. I'm proud that you are keeping great music alive, and I'm proud to be your friend. Congratulations, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, proudly welcome to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Dave Koz.
I'll never forget it. It was one of the most special days of my life. I had my fans and friends and family there. It was right in front of the Capitol Records Tower, the very iconic round tower in Hollywood, where 20 years of my life were spent making records and documenting my musical life. And also the added idea of being born and raised in Los Angeles. Like, I grew up walking Hollywood Boulevard in those streets with my parents, and I remember my whole family walking and delighting in looking at the stars' names, and I would remember asking my mom or my dad, like, who is blah, blah, blah. And so now, full circle, I can imagine another family walking down Vine Street and coming across my star, and the kids saying, who the hell is Dave Koz? We got here to Dallas for our trip to Tulsa. The plane was about 15 minutes late. We're gonna make it, we're gonna have a show, and then we get on the little tram to go from terminal to terminal. And then that thing had some sort of problem, so we sat on there for 10 minutes before we switched over to another tram. We got on the tram to the right gate, and the plane has already left. Well, I think it's stages. Obstacles, when they come into your path, it's the first thing that you feel is frustration. For me, it's frustration. It's like, oh, I just wish that this could have gone through. And you end up banging your head against the wall over and over. And I've done that enough times where I realize this kind of hurts to do that. So now when something happens like that, I tend to, or at least try to, get over it fairly quickly. So we're stuck in Dallas, but we're gonna be rerouted on another flight to Tulsa. We're gonna get there. When there's an obstacle in the road, or say in a river that's going down, there's a rock there, what does the water do? Water is really an interesting thing to do. It's a concept that if you kind of look at it as a metaphor for your life, it's a really great way to live, because the water doesn't stop. The water just, no matter what, it finds its way. Well, I think that I'm a perfectionist. I definitely have high values for myself, and I expect it in people that I work with. I like to surround myself with wonderful people that are engaged in what they do. I think really, to use the word passion is really great. People who are passionate about what they do. Whatever that might be, if they can come to their gig, so to speak, and have something more than just I'm doing the job that is expected of me, or this is what I'm paid to do, so I'm going to do it, and then I'm clocking out.
This is where all the magic happens. Dave Coz's office. Me, I'm Janice De La Cruz. I am Dave's executive assistant, personal assistant. Basically his right arm. The rest, as we say, is still going, right? It's 9 years later, here I am. Everything from picking up some things for him at the grocery store, taking his dry cleaning, should we even say this? These are Grammy nominations for all of his recordings that he was nominated for a Grammy. 6?
Well, I think that people in the entertainment business, just by the very nature of the way it's set up, are sort of used to, I don't know if it makes it any less painful or less of a sting, but I think we're used to, in general, of having the door closed on us and saying no. I've grown up with that word and seeing that word. You call it stoppers, just the word no. And what do you do? For me, it's about staying in the game. When I see other people, colleagues, competitors have success, there was a period of time where I would say, oh, why are they getting so hot and I'm not? Part of it is, maybe even all of it, is recognizing that it doesn't have anything to do with you. And it took me a long time to realize that the best thing I could possibly do was be excited and nurture their success, be a big cheerleader. The stoppers, or the people who say no, are basically, they're giving you cues as to where your path is. It's finding the things that you should be doing. A lot of us are off course, and it's a good way when those signals are there to tell you, hey, maybe try this course over here. The idea is stay in the game, play smartly, be happy and excited for other people's success, and wait your turn.
Anyone that wants to reach out to him, I'm like the first port of call, like whether it's via email or through his radio shows, stuff like that. This is where recordings happen. Dave, if he's recording liners for a radio show, he may sit here and the recording engineer sits there. If they're writing music, there might be someone that's on the keyboard here and Dave might sit there.
I tend to be kind of careful with stuff. I'm not as impetuous sometimes as I think I should be. I think of it as mulling over, letting something stew, giving it time to wash over me in a way so that you really get to know it and feel its relationship to you and how you want to handle it. And then when I'm going to jump, I jump fully. Then you really have to just trust. Trust your gut or your intuition or whatever that is, that voice inside of you that is making those split-second decisions to guide you to where you need to be. I think the more time you have to luxuriate in multiple options, the farther you get away from that instinctive voice that's telling you where you need to go.
So all of these are Dave's recordings. A fan made this for him and presented it to him. It goes through me first, and then I, get it to the right person, whether it's Dave himself or his manager. I'm not sure if you know this about Dave, but he does love wine, and with that, he released a couple of wines himself, Cause Wines, where you can find at Whole Foods Market. This was released with his album Hello Tomorrow. So this is called Anything's Possible, and it's a Cabernet.
Everybody's documenting it. Everybody's tweeting you tweet as you go. Not so sure how good it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
The documentation, the most documented species, right, or era of human development, and yet I just wonder how many, if anybody's looking or anybody is interested.
Really remembering what really.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what we were talking about before, about what your lasting impressions are, what you leave behind. There's a song that's the last song on my latest one, which is called What You Leave Behind. And it was inspired by these two very, very big people in my life who both lost their lives. And I remember the way people talked about them and still talk about them 2 years later. And that truly is the lasting legacy. It's what you leave behind. What matters to me is how I'm making people feel. So that's the most important thing to me. The thing that makes me most proud is when there are little clues along the way that what's most important to me is actually happening. That's amazing. He's a very big guy. It's the biggest tombstone I've ever seen. We were great friends. If you met him, you were a friend of his. That was the thing about him. Filled with the most love I've ever seen in one human being. I felt so lucky to be able to have a friendship with him while he was here. Short life, too. He was only 44. And that's the nice thing. It's like you hope for the best, that your life has reverberations after you go, and that's the thing. Like why I'm here, his foundation, the Wayman Tisdale Foundation, is providing funds for people who can't afford prosthetic. He had to have an amputation, and so many people can't afford that. So that's what his foundation provides for people who are in need. That's just one way that his life, even though he's not here physically, that he's continuing to spread that unique love.
We've recently received a message from a fan who we've never met, but his story was touching in the sense of he is also a saxophone player, young kid, lives in Morocco, and apparently cannot afford to buy a sax or own a sax, or it's just hard to come by there.
I graduated from UCLA. I was a mass communications major, and I was planning on having a regular job. And my parents, I remember this so well, my parents asked me the day, they waited at least till the night of my graduation before asking, so what are you gonna do?
This kid wanted to be a saxophone player, looked up to Dave, and just reached out and poured his heart out into why he needed Dave's help.
You're a mass communications major, but you play the saxophone. What are you gonna do with this? And I said, well, I just wanna have 6 months to try and see what I could come up with in the world of music before I go about getting a regular job. The best day, I think the best day of my life was...
This day is truly one that I think about my parents. My parents, who are both passed, they were such a huge part of my life. And my mom would have been so blown away by this turnout, she would have baked for all of you, I'm quite sure of it.
I was able to introduce my parents, my mom and dad, to the President of the United States.
Dave sent him a saxophone.
That was a pretty good day.
To Morocco.
I'll never forget that. I love music, I love communicating, and I think the saxophone sort of found me. It was like the vehicle for some sort of expression that I was going to make in this lifetime. At my purest moments, and I would say that happens most of the time now, it doesn't feel like me per se. It's not me. Somebody told me a long time ago, it was a great thing, it's really helped me too. It said, well, the talent that you're born with, it's not yours. You're just its shepherd during your lifetime. And so it's your responsibility, and your joy should be to share it in as many different ways with as many different people as you possibly can in your life.
Well, I think with Dave and I, there's kind of a divine relationship that we share, you know. I think we came together we are together, and we came together for greater purposes other than just making music. I mean, there's a lot that I learned from Dave, and there's a lot that Dave learns from me, and together on stage, it's like, on stage we can basically finish each other's sentences because he listens well. He's sensitive to who's around him on stage, and I think he just has a unique way of approaching music, and the way that he plays it, the way that I think it's more or less Dave telling a story than trying to overwhelm you with his chops and abilities and stuff like that, you know. Even though he has all that stuff, he has all the ability, I think he has a really very special way of communicating with people. And that's the strength that he has. I call him the master of ceremonies because he knows how to communicate with people.
I think people right now, with all the chaos and the amount of change that there's going on in the world, people are craving that intimate environment that only a live music concert can bring. You can't get it in a movie theater, you can't get it in a comedy show, you can't get it on Broadway, where the audience and the performers are in this kind of mix together, both kind of a part of it. I'm now 48, and I'm not even close to getting there, but the journey is about trusting myself, quieting everything else, and just quieting down enough to go inside where all the answers for all of us are, and hearing what's there, that very faint whisper. And there's that thing where you just sort of, when you go into that building...
Hi, welcome to the Mayo. Enjoy the Dave Koz performance.
Sit down and take a seat. You're not just observing something, you're really part of something. So I think that's something that people are really craving, that connection. And also a connection that only music can provide. Music communication is a different form. This is something I've realized in my many years of doing this, is that music operates on some other level altogether. It's more than just, I could sit here and talk to you for 20 minutes and wouldn't be able to say as much as one note that just is the right note that captures that emotion.